So, people keep asking me, how do I rig out the little FP? And the answer is, I don't. I literally just use the camera just like this. Now just lean all the way against the wall out of frame. Yeah, that's cool. You get it.
Spidey sense will turn a little bit.
But that looks like you're just looking across the street. We need to kind of feel you looking. Yeah, there you go. Just like that. Yeah. He's still behind you, and then you're like, fuck. So then you take a couple steps forward, but he knows now he's been spotted. So that's when he takes off. You sell that, because we don't see him. Wait, like you turn there and you watch him go, right? And then you're like, yeah, but more subtle. You don't want him to see you, right? What we do, he runs, takes off. That's when you realize, fuck, I was right.
Couple steps.
Yeah, that's cool. Just like that. Yeah. I mean, the whole appeal for the FP for me in the first place was just how minimalist it is. And I just thought it was perfect for shooting video in stealth mode. So for instance, on my little passion project, Spent, I was literally just running around with the camera just like this. And that's how we were able to walk into a gas station and straight up steal a shot in the middle of Los Angeles. Now granted, I was pulling my own focus, so everything was a one-hit wonder kind of situation because we were just running around stealing shots. So that project was pretty grungy in terms of floating in and out of focus, as some of you made very certain to make me well aware of. But honestly, I could give two shits less. To me, it fit the vibe of the piece, and it conveyed the grittiness of downtown LA. I feel like Spent totally had a Collateral vibe going on. So anyways, because so many of you want to know how I would rig out the FP, I thought, okay, what would I do if I was to turn this little camera into a Frankenstein rig? But in order to do that, I think it's important first to break down how I like to use it. So if you saw my initial review, you know how much I love this Nicely Rig half cage grip. And I absolutely love the EVF, which is funny because I have never been a fan of using EVFs. I've tried all of them, and for whatever reason, this FP one is the main squeeze. I hate using this camera without the EVF. But you're probably noticing that I have something else rigged up on the side here. And this is actually an SSD with a custom-built rack from a small company called Dark Power Laboratory. Now, I kind of took a chance on this product because it was just something I found on Facebook, and it's one of those things where it's a little tiny website. But it's pretty inexpensive for what it is. The SSD rack itself runs $109, and then the little caddy for the actual SSD is $59. So I was like, okay, I'll try it out. And this little caddy right here is designed for little baby NVMe SSDs. You know, the kind that go inside of laptops. So I picked up a 2 terabyte NVMe SSD from Sabrent, but it does cost $300. So this is by no means a cheap setup. However, 2 terabytes does give you about 2 hours of 4K 12-bit cinema DNG. And the main reason why I love this SSD rack, there is 0 cables. I hate wires hanging all over the place. So anytime I can pay money to avoid them, I will absolutely do so. And the design of this rack is really thought out. It has a nice thumb screw on the side to attach it and unattach it really quickly. But then there's a little pin down here at the bottom that helps hold it in place and actually takes the stress off of the EVF. Now you've probably noticed the way that the little mini SSD sits in the rack. And at first I was worried about this because I was thinking that over time it would get loose and just start falling out, because it does load in from the bottom. However, after closer inspection of this little guy, I noticed that there were little grooves that were machined into the side of the rack and the SSD case itself. So it literally slides and locks into place. The little satisfying click there at the end. It's just a really smart design, and I was actually really impressed. However, there are some sound issues. So this drive gets really, really hot, and when it gets hot, it kind of swells up inside of this little case, and it starts chirping like a cricket. And it does it very consistently. Surprisingly though, no one commented on it when I released Spent. However, I do kind of pat myself on the back for burying it underneath all the ambient sound. However, here's a raw clip without any, sound effects or music or anything, and you let me know if you can hear those crickets in the background. Let me come back. So that is a huge issue because I, for one, think that the onboard mic of the FP is actually pretty decent. So I totally reached out to Dark Power Labs about that chirping noise, and he claimed that he actually never even tested one of the Sabrent drives with the rack because him being in China, I guess he didn't have easy access to the Sabrent brand. But I guess he did end up ordering one, and he said it's because that Sabrent puts a thin little sheet of copper onto the actual SSD. So he recommended to take that little sheet of copper off of the drive. However, I edit off of this thing and it gets extremely hot when editing. So I didn't want to take that little strip of copper off because I was worried if I did that it would most certainly damage the drive. Because again, the whole point of that little thin piece of copper is to help the drive dissipate heat. So instead, what I did is when I opened up the little caddy, what I noticed is that Dark Power Labs puts a little piece of foam in there. Well, that foam had already started deteriorating from the heat of the Sabrent drive. So I just dug out the rest of that foam because half of it was deteriorated anyways, and I put the little caddy back together, and lo and behold, the chirping went away. Now, I reached out to another user who has this same exact rack with the EVF. He said he took the foam out, however, he still has the chirping sound. So I don't know what exactly is going on with it. I just know that for me, when I took the foam out, it worked. Now, I'm sure Dark Power Labs is going to say not to take that foam out. However, he has it in there for other drives other than the Sabrent drive. So now that we know that the Sabrent drive has that little thin piece of copper on there, doesn't need that foam. I mean, it was melting it anyways. So I don't know. For me, it worked. I don't know. So play at your own risk. Do what you want to do. Here's the thing though. Even if you are not a user of the EVF, Dark Power Labs also makes one of these racks to go on the camera without the EVF. So, just go on the website, check it out. I am not an affiliate of the guy. I could care less if you buy it or not. I just know for me, I absolutely love it. So for now, I'm still using it, and I'll continue to use it until it just stops working. But the chirping is gone, we're still rolling, so here we are. And then of course I love my little Peak Design wrist strap. That's just a little extra security when you're walking around in a big city, And then you can literally throw on any lens of your choice because the L mount is so versatile. Right on there I have a Leica R right now, and yeah, there you go. So now we get to the big question where you go, yeah, Justin, that's great and all, but what if I'm not shooting run and gun? So the first thing I would do is ditch this Nicey Rig half cage and put on a different cage so I have more options for rigging. And I would replace it with this small rig cage. Now this cage is actually very nice for EVF users because it comes with an additional piece that you can attach and it secures the EVF to the camera within the cage. However, if you don't use the EVF, don't worry, there's still a very nice option for adding a monitor to this cage. And now since I am still going to use the Dark Power Labs SSD caddy, I don't have a use for this EVF part either. However, do keep in mind that since I'm such a lover of the EVF and the SSD caddy, they are gonna stay on here for this rig build. Another thing I wanna point out why I like this specific cage so much is because it has two locking points, one on the bottom and one on the side here. And that prevents the camera from rotating within the cage. And now for all of my guys using monitors, there is a built-in NATO rail on the top. So you can use a monitor NATO mount and just mount your monitor right there on the top and still be able to tilt it back and forth. And I imagine you'd want to be using either the 5-inch HDR Video Assist or the Ninja 5 so you can get external compressed RAW. However, for me, the EVF is going to be my monitor because I love it so much. It has everything I need, including false color. So what I would use the NATO rail for is a top handle. And I'm going to use the same bright tangerine top handle that I use for my red Komodo. There are two reasons why this is one of the very best top handles. First, it has a removable 15mm rod clamp, and I can attach it to the rail without even having to take the EVF off. So if I was to use this rig with a first AC, I could take a little baby rail, clamp it in here, and set my motor from up top. Something like that. Or if you weren't using a first AC, you could just take the 15mm rod clamp off of the top handle altogether. Second reason why this Bright Tangerine top handle is the champ is because you can loosen it right here and slide it back and forth. But notice it has pins on the bottom, preventing it from sliding all the way out. That comes in very clutch when using it with the Komodo. And even in this situation, for nutbags like me that like to use the EVF, I can still slide that top handle forward and still use the EVF. This is turning into quite the crazy rig already. I don't know why anyone would want to do this, but if you really had to, you could do it. But now, the big question, power. Before we get into this, I do want to mention that I own 6 of the Sigma FP batteries, and that's the way I go. And even when we were shooting spent, I never even made it to the 4th battery. However, if you're shooting live events, I understand you need nonstop power. So, this is my solution. Now, before I show you, what's great about this is that Sigma was already forward thinking about this, knowing guys would want to rig this little beast out because of its power. So the locking battery door, I absolutely love, and the fact that they put in this little push-out rubber window for the cable, they just thought of everything. And I use this little DC coupler made by a company called Zete. On one end is a dummy battery, and on the other end is a D-tap. And what's nice about this specific coupler is that it is regulated. So even if you plug this D-tap into your V-mount battery wrong, it's not gonna blow. It recognizes the faulty current and it blinks red. And I haven't had any issues with this specific DC coupler, and I've been using it for the past 4 months for all of my weekly Patreon videos. And I do want to point out that those videos are over an hour long. But now you're probably saying, Justin, that's a cable, and that's a really long cable. And I know I literally just said I hate cables. However, this is one instance where this cable, and especially its length, is really going to come in clutch. Because my whole issue with small cameras like this is there's never a good place to put a V-mount battery. So let's take it out of the equation altogether. And what I picked up is this little tiny Nicey Rig V-mount belt clip. So I can take any little nano V-mount battery, lock it in, and clip it right to my waistband. And then I just plug in my P-tap, and the light is blinking green, so I know I have proper voltage, and I know I'm good to go to turn on my camera. And the cable is long enough to where I can go high, I can go low, you have so much range of motion, and there's no battery in the way, anywhere. And it takes off all that extra weight as well. And most of these nano V-mounts also have a USB port, so you can be charging your cell phone in your back pocket at the same time. Not to mention a 98 watt-hour V-mount battery is gonna run your little FP all day long. But wait, there's more. What's really nice and cool about this Nicey Rig V-mount belt clip is that if you don't wanna use it as a belt clip, you can simply just pop the clip off, and they also give you this little quick release V-mount plate. So you can attach this to any accessory you desire and instantly turn it into a quick release. So my first thought instantly went to a wireless video transmitter. What a nice, elegant way to attach that to your rig and not have to mess around with some crappy magic arm. And then I know everyone is obsessed with Mattebox, me too, because I do use filters all the time. I am still a big fan of the Bright Tangerine Misfit Atom. Now I know Bright Tangerine are not exactly the cheapest options, but I love their products. Like I say, you get what you pay for. It's a better investment in the long run. They are industry standard. I have both the Misfit Atom and the regular Misfit with all of their accessories. And you know what? Sometimes it's more than just a company. It's also about the faces and people behind that company. Robert Eagle has hand-delivered Bright Tangerine products to my house. Little things like that go a really long way with guys like me. They're just rad people. But on top of that, the Misfit Atom is super versatile. You can use it as a clamp-on. If you don't want to do clamp-on, which I wouldn't recommend with old vintage stills lenses anyways, you can attach a little 15mm rod clamp on here and use it with the black hole donut. They have a really super lightweight, carbon fiber top shade, but if you don't want that, you can take that off as well. And if this is still too much weight for you, you can take the rubber shade off too, and now you have something really nice and sleek for gimbal. And one of the best add-on features for the Misfit Atom is a little tilt tray that you can bolt on the inside, which allows your filters to sit in there in a fashion where they don't cause reflections. You know, even though I wouldn't recommend using clamp-ons with old vintage lenses, you know, the Bright Tangerine Misfit Atom is so lightweight, it weighs the same as this little cine ring I have attached to this Leica R. I don't know, I think it's one of the best options available. So yeah, there you go. I've answered everyone's question. This is how I would rig out the little FP. It's not bad. I actually kind of like it. I didn't think I would like this, but hey, if I had to do something like this, this is totally what I would do. This is pretty rad, actually. Look at that. I am proud of the Frankenstein I've created. All right, I'll probably never use it like that, but maybe I inspired you guys a little bit, gave you some ideas. Hopefully I did, and if not, I understand that too. Anyways, that's gonna do it for today. Thank you all for watching the show. Hey, here's the thing, guys. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. There are tons and thousands and thousands and thousands of views that my videos get, which doesn't make sense because I only have 20,000 subs, but yet I have like 80,000 views like a weekly. So it's kind of weird to have that many views but not enough subscribers, which means a lot of you just like watching my face but don't want to tap the subscribe button, or people are just so hating against me, but they can't stay away. Either way, you just hit the subscribe button. It really helps a little channel like mine out. Or if you are a super fan of me and you already have subscribed to my channel and you've already tapped that notification bell so you know instantly every time a video drops, and you're just diehard fan for whatever crazy reason, maybe if I'm just pure entertainment for you, I would highly advise you to check out the Dog Times Patreon, because that is a totally different vibe over there. And speaking of the Patreon, I want to give a huge shout out to the members of our producers tier over there. That's gonna be Fred Parr and Mike Skinner, and my Pro Tips member here on the YouTube memberships, that's Visit VR. So go check out his channel as well. He's a huge supporter of my channel. And as always, thank you for watching the video in its entirety. We'll see you in the next one. That is a wrap. All right. I don't know if I was in focus or not. I've been really relying on the autofocus of the Komodo, which is still in beta, by the way. By the way, the Komodo firmware is still in beta. What the F, man? Are they ever gonna put it into full mode? I don't know. The camera's still out of stock in most places anyways. Yeah, so hopefully the autofocus worked. I've been using the Sigma Art 24-70 for these past few YouTube talking heads because I've been really relying on the autofocus. So we'll see how it goes. Mainly because I guess I'm just lazy to attach the tilt the nucleus M. I don't really know why I've been, it is what it is. So yeah, for all of you guys that stick around for the Easter eggs, I imagine you are die-hard lovers of the show, so I appreciate that. Still dealing with the herniated discs in my neck. I really shouldn't have even done this video today, but I am the type of dude that cannot sit still. And honestly, I did lay on the couch for about 6 days straight because they gave me a week-long dosage of steroids, which did absolutely nothing, by the way. And, you know, I'm still waiting for the order to find out where to go for physical therapy. And I just cannot sit on the couch like that. It's really hard for me to just sit around and veg. I just can't do it. I can't do it. Let me know what you guys do to relax. Because, you know, I need to know these things. I need to know how to be chill, man. I want to be like that long-haired dude on Stranger Things, but he is the exact opposite of the type of human being that I am. All right, that's gonna do it.